The year was 1929. The world was dancing to the rhythm of progress. Cities were glowing, factories were booming, and optimism filled the air. In America, the 1920s became known as the Roaring Twenties, a decade of jazz, automobiles, and endless opportunity. People believed that the future could only get brighter, but sometimes the brighter the light, the darker the shadow it casts. The United States had emerged from World War I stronger than ever. Mass production had revolutionized industry. The automobile industry exploded thanks to Henry Ford's assembly line. Radio brought entertainment into every home. Credit allowed millions to buy things they couldn't afford up front. The stock market became the new symbol of prosperity. Everyone, from bankers to barbers, was buying stocks. People borrowed money to invest, convinced prices would rise forever. But behind this booming economy, warning signs were everywhere. Overproduction, unequal wealth distribution, weak banks, and speculative trading. The economy looked golden, but it was built on sand. Then came October 24th, 1929, Black Thursday. Stock prices suddenly began to fall. Investors panicked. Bankers tried to stop the crash by buying massive amounts of stock, and for a moment it worked. But it was only a delay. 5 days later, on October 29th, Black Tuesday, the bubble finally burst. In just a few hours, billions of dollars disappeared. Crowds gathered outside the New York Stock Exchange, staring in disbelief as fortunes vanished. The unthinkable had happened. America's unstoppable economy had come to a grinding halt. The crash was only the beginning. Banks failed across the country. People rushed to withdraw their life savings, but the money was already gone. In total, more than 9,000 banks would collapse in the coming years. Factories shut down. Businesses went bankrupt. Unemployment soared to over 25%. Families lost their homes, moving into makeshift shelters called Hoovervilles, named bitterly after President Herbert Hoover. The breadlines grew longer each day. Children went hungry. The American dream had turned into a struggle for survival. And the suffering didn't stop at America's borders. Global trade collapsed. Countries like Germany and Britain faced massive unemployment. Desperation fueled anger, and anger fueled extremism. The Great Depression had gone global, setting the stage for the greatest conflict in human history, World War II. By 1933, the American people had lost faith. But then came a new leader, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He promised hope. He promised action. In his first inaugural speech, he declared, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." Roosevelt's plan, called the New Deal, transformed the nation. Massive public works programs put millions back to work, building bridges, roads, and schools. The government reformed banks, introduced Social Security, and created safety nets to prevent future collapses. Slowly, confidence returned. Farmers rebuilt. Factories reopened. A nation that had once been broken was learning to stand again. Yet recovery was slow, and only the outbreak of World War II would fully end the Great Depression. The demand for weapons and military supplies revived the economy, bringing America back to full employment by 1941. The Great Depression changed the world forever. It taught nations that unchecked greed, reckless speculation, and lack of financial oversight can bring even the strongest economies to their knees. It also showed the power of unity and leadership, that government action, when guided by purpose and compassion, can rebuild even the most broken of societies. Today, nearly a century later, its lessons remain as relevant as ever. Every economic boom and crash reminds us of 1929. every financial bubble echoes the same truth. Prosperity built on illusion never lasts forever. The Great Depression was more than an economic collapse. It was a story of human endurance, of families who lost everything, and of a nation that refused to give up. From the ashes of despair, a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate world was born. Because history, no matter how painful, is our greatest teacher, and those who forget the lessons of the past are doomed to relive them again.